If you're a stay-at-home mum trying to build an online business, you probably wondered this at some point. What business model actually works when you don't have long, uninterrupted workdays? Because most of the advice online seems to assume that you do. It assumes that you have endless time for social media and constant energy for promotion and the ability to push hard for months at a time until the business finally takes off. But for many women, that's just not simply the reality. You are caring for children, you are running a home, you are supporting your family, protecting your health, and you're trying to be faithful to the priorities that matter most to you, which means a typical hustle-driven business model often feels misaligned with the life that you are trying to build. And there's a deeper reason for that as well. Many popular business models rely on one-off sales or constant output, which means every new month begins from scratch. You have to find new customers, generate new interest, and create another reason for people to buy. And that structure naturally creates pressure. So instead of trying to force ourselves into models that depend on constant urgency, it makes far more sense to build something differently. And the model that I found that works best, especially for women building businesses alongside family life, is built around something much simpler. And that is serving the same group of people over time. So instead of selling something once and moving on, you create a pathway where people receive guidance, resources, and the support that they need as they move forward. And when a business is structured that way, something interesting happens. Your clients experience deeper progress because they're not left to figure everything out alone, and your income becomes steadier because you are no longer starting from zero every month. And even if your first thought is that you would rather offer services or to sell products, there are ways to structure those in a much more efficient and sustainable way than what's typically taught. These approaches would allow you to make better use of your time and energy while still serving your people well. Now, I'm not going to go too deeply into that in this video, but it is something I teach inside my Plan to Profit system if you would like to explore that further. In this video, however, I want to show you the model that I now recommend as the best and easiest to run and is a calmer, more sustainable way to build a business that allows you to serve people well while still protecting the priorities that matter most. So as I said, the model I now recommend is built around something quite simple, and that's instead of selling something once and constantly needing to replace those customers with new ones, you're going to create an environment where people can continue learning and growing with you over time. Now, sometimes this takes the form of a membership or a subscription, but what matters most is actually the mindset behind it. And that is that you're no longer creating isolated products. You're creating a pathway where people receive guidance, where they receive resources and the support that they need as they make progress. And in today's world, that approach makes more sense than ever because information is no longer scarce. Almost anything can be explained in a YouTube video or summarized by AI in seconds. So what people struggle with now is applying what they've learned consistently in the middle of real life. They need context, they need encouragement, and sometimes simply the reassurance that they are moving in the right direction. So when a business is designed around ongoing guidance and support, people are far more likely to follow through and actually make progress because they're not left alone to implement everything themselves. They have support while they're doing it. Now, sometimes when people hear about this type of structure, they immediately assume that their idea wouldn't work this way. But in reality, many types of businesses can include an ongoing element once you start thinking about the whole journey that your client is on. And most people, they don't just need a single piece of information. They need help applying it. They need the next step. They need additional resources and tools, and they need encouragement when progress slows. And once you start thinking about the whole journey, it becomes much easier to see how guidance, resources, and community can naturally fit into the process. Now, there are also a few structural tweaks that you can make to your business model, things that many people aren't actually being taught that make this approach even more sustainable. For example, the content that you create inside a support environment can often be repurposed into standalone resources or offers, allowing you to serve additional customers without constantly creating something new. Another reason this approach works well for many women is that it removes the pressure to jump immediately into high-ticket sales, which can be stressful, or to deal with ongoing complicated launches. You can begin at a level that feels comfortable. You can start with a simple offer that helps a specific person take an important step forward. Then you can serve a small group of people well and pay attention to what they need as they begin implementing what they've learned. And as those patterns become clearer, you can gradually expand the resources, the guidance, or the community that you provide so that people can continue receiving support as they grow. This also allows you to build the right systems from the beginning. When simple systems and automations are set up early, many of the repetitive tasks that usually consume time later on are already handled. So while the business may begin gently, it can gain momentum more easily over time without risking burnout because the foundations are already in place. Now, once you understand how those pieces fit together, the model becomes surprisingly flexible and far more sustainable than many of the traditional approaches. And this is why the structure of the business matters so much. Because when the model itself is designed to support both you and the people that you serve, it becomes much easier to grow something meaningful without constantly feeling as though you're fighting against the rest of your life. Now, if you would like help building a business using this kind of model, that is exactly what I teach inside my Plan to Profit system. Inside that training, I walk you through how to take a simple idea and turn it into a sustainable online business, including how to structure your offers, set up supportive systems, and to build a model that can grow without requiring constant hustle. So if this approach resonates with you, you can learn more about the Plan to Profit system using the link below, and you can see if it feels like the right next step for you. Because ultimately the goal isn't simply to start a business, right? It is to build something that serves people well while still honoring the life and responsibilities that God has already placed in your hands. And when the structure of the business supports that rather than constantly competing with it, everything becomes far more sustainable. And if your next thought is, well, that sounds great, but I don't have much time, then I have made another video showing exactly how this can work in around 10 hours a week, which I recommend watching next.